April 13th, Bitcoin predict advice. I'm Jackman, engineer gone crypto astrologer. I combine technical analysis with astrology. Ignore the spam bots in the comments below. If we get this video to 200 likes, I'll make an XRP, Solana, and Ethereum forecast video for this month. So click that like button. Thank you so much. Let's look at the full moon cycle indicator. This is based on the full moon where typically we get a pump, and the new moons where typically we get dumps. So let's take a look at that, shall we? Okay, so we go to the chart here, and I just pull up. You can do this yourself too. You go to the you go to indicators, and it's the what's it called? The moon phases indicator. All right. So this is on TradingView, believe it or not, and so the full moon is the white one, and the new moon's the black. So historically, let's take a look. How accurate is this? It's not like, it's definitely not 100% accurate, so definitely don't do that. But there is some correlations. So when we get the full moons, typically we get a trough, and then with the new moons, typically we get a peak. So you see on this full moon, it was pretty close to the trough there within a few days. And then this recent new moon, actually there was a solar eclipse, we got a relative peak there. You know, if we go back, got pretty, well, that was actually more of a trough. So it's, you know, as you can see here, it's not 100% accurate. But the next couple days, we got a peak with that new moon. This full moon, we got a little bit of a trough. This new moon, we had quite a peak there. All right, that almost marked the exact peak. Bitcoin was around 106. Then this full moon, we did get a trough there and a pump, mega pump after that. All right, so typically, typically that's what happens. But as you can see, it's definitely not 100% accurate. So I would not just trade a portfolio just off of this. But even here, let's see, this was a full moon, and we actually got a peak that time. And then here's a new moon, and we got sort of a peak, but it headed up a little further. All right, so interesting. So typically after full moons, we can get pumps, but it doesn't happen every time. As you can see with this full moon, we already had the low before it happened, but it continued to get more of a pump. So are we in that scenario here where when we get this full moon coming up right here, the low already happened beforehand, and perhaps are we going to get a continued pump? We will have to see. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. All right, so let's look at charts. I'm going to look at the VIX because we got a massive spike in the VIX, which basically measures the volatility of the macro. And Bitcoin chart, of course. We'll look at the RSI, the weekly stochastic RSI, global liquidity. All right, so we got a lot to look at there. So here's the Bitcoin chart. And let's take off the moons here for a moment. So we're still in this death cross right here. You know, we just got that, and I warned you guys about this, and I basically called this dump here. Is that the entirety of the dump? Not necessarily. If we go back to previous death crosses, well, let's go back to the previous bull markets. You know, when we had already gotten a major run, we got a death cross in 2021 in the summer, and we did get a dump just like we've gotten now. It got a bit of a rebound up to the red line, and then it dumped a second time. But the second dump, if I zoom in, you know, the second dump here, it was a higher low. It was a little bit higher than this big crash back here. So we could be in a scenario like this where we head up and then we get another dump before we continue on, or in the worst case, we get a dump like we've gotten now, and it tries to head up, but it keeps getting rejected off of this red line for the most part. But, well, I guess it does head up to the blue line here, the blue moving average, and then it gets rejected off that blue line. So we basically have to obviously break through the red line here with a vengeance, and then also get through the blue. But even in 2021, it almost fell back down, but it got held up by this yellow moving average before coming back up. So it's going to be really tricky coming up here as we have those moving averages. We're below the red, we're below the blue. Could it look something like this where, we fall, or maybe we head up here, then we fall down. I don't know if that's a lower low or higher low. And then we try to work our way past the red line and then the blue line and head back up, or do we get rejected? So definitely, I'll keep you guys updated on that. So definitely subscribe if you want to get the updates on, are we going to be moving through these moving averages, the 200-day moving average and the 50-day moving average, as well as the 21 SMA moving average. So that's going to be tricky. What else were we looking at? So we're going to look at the VIX. Okay, right. Okay, so just a reminder there. So we go to the VIX. I mean, look at this mega spike with the VIX. It's comparable to what we saw in August of last year when we got the huge jump for crypto. If we go back to August for Bitcoin, that there was a tremendous amount of fear. Where was that? Right here. And that was when we got the death cross back then too. We were able to break through back up. But yeah, Bitcoin fell all the way down below 50K. I remember that day. A lot of fear in the market. But look, we're also above. So man, we got all the way to 60 on the VIX here. Nice. I mean, usually anything above 40 or so is usually good buy opportunity. Let's see, but it's even almost, a little bit comparable to COVID crash. But the COVID crash went much higher and it lasted longer. But we're still at 40, so we're still potentially not out of the woods yet. So could we have another dump incoming? Certainly possible. We're at this level right here, which is October 2020. That was still a good buy opportunity for crypto. I'm just remembering, 2020. But interesting. So one of my colleagues was waiting for it to go above 37, and he actually went all in with his portfolio because he saw that crypto's at very discounted prices, especially altcoins are at super cheap prices. They could still go lower, but they're still at cheap prices. And as long as you're willing to hold for up to, 2 years, if in the worst case scenario, 3 years, then you're golden because you just got a bunch of crypto at cheap prices. So I bought some more crypto as well a couple days ago when we got this spike up, and I still have some cash to buy more. I think about 20% cash. So that's where I'm at. Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments below. But man, the S&P 500, let's see this one. Yeah, we're getting a bit of a rebound, a really strong rebound, which is what we want to see for the bulls. All right, and then we go to Bitcoin. Oh shoot, that's a little busy there. The monthly close recently was pretty low, but we're starting to show some signs of strength here potentially. Let's see. We're heading a bit lower, but we haven't even bounced off. Let's see. We haven't even gotten to the peak in March. So, if we look at the macro, we're still holding structure for a continued bull run, as we have not broken down, below like 65 or something like that. We still could bounce off of this kind of area of support from the peak back in March of last year. So that's looking good. If we look at the stochastic RSI, it's bottoming out right now. If we do get a cross up, that would be bullish. And the RSI is bearish. We're seeing some bearish convergence here. As the Bitcoin price. One concern is we did fall below this 44 level. if we look historically on the RSI, and I make a line here, if I make a line around here, you know, in this bull run, we've been bouncing off of this white line here, right? We bounced off it in 2023. We bounced off it last year. We just broke through it a little bit. But we're starting to rebound. So if Bitcoin makes a rebound off of that and we bounce up again, if we bounce up again like that, that would be good to see. That would be very bullish. But if we break back through this line and go down, that's not what we want to see. So I'll be keeping my eyes on that. We did break through it in 2021. That's true. Right here, we did break through it. And the bull run continued, but we did have that major bearish divergence right there. But yeah, July of 2021, it broke there. And it had one more uptick there for the bull run. So I could make a nice little trend line there. This bearish divergence. And then that marked the end of the bull run. Thing is, it happened twice. It went up here once and then twice hit there. And that was the end of the bull run. So we've already hit it once and then twice. I mean, if this is an extended bull run, if the cycle extends, which we haven't really seen before, perhaps other than 2013? Let's see what happened back here. It doesn't really go back far enough. Let's go to this one. It's too busy there. But yeah, perhaps 2013. No, usually. So a slight concern there that we've already hit this downward trend line twice. So yeah, that's tricky. So the only way we'll get another move up is if this goes up again and doesn't break down at this 44.3 level approximately with the RSI. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, definitely very tricky here. We're definitely seeing mixed signals. It's not crystal clear. This is a challenging year for predictions, that's for sure. Oh yeah, global liquidity index. So take a look at this. Now here is the light at the end of the tunnel. Here is the shining star that gives us hope. So here is the global liquidity line with the 108-day offset. And as you can see, you know, back here, this kind of, the yellow line, Bitcoin followed it pretty closely. And then on the way down, Bitcoin followed it decently closely. Wait a second. It's looking a little bit off. I don't know why it's off right now. That's not looking right. Let me try. Oh, that has the incorrect offset. Let's try this one. There we go. I think that's better. Okay, here's the one with the correct offset, the 108 days. So yeah, we followed this up in the bull run to the peak in January, and then we started falling off back down. And ever since the Bitcoin ETFs were released, Bitcoin's been following this pretty closely. Now, it does go on a major uptick, and it's